There we go.
And we are live, man. Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline. I'm here with Matt Yusay. I'm calling in or I'm doing this live, the Zoom from Manila. How about you, Matt? Where you at?
Yeah, thank you, man. I just shared the video to my profile because my peeps that I love what we're what we're always talking about, where we're founded. If not in this podcast, which I love your podcast, man, and the title itself is like it's necessary to a budding life because sometimes it gets messy with thoughts, right? When we were growing up, we don't know, but for me, I live in the beautiful province of Capiz. It's the seafood capital of the Philippines. I live near the beach, so it's very province here. Like so, we got an abundance of noisy chickens. Some dogs everywhere. Not mine, but just the faraway neighbor. Neighbor just wanna
Yeah.
take care of these
Sorry, you
animals.
said Capiz. Is that like part
Capiz, yeah,
of Ilo? Ilo, is that part of Visayas or
yeah. It's part of Western Visayas. It's just a
West
2 hour
Visayas?
drive from Iloilo, so that's a pleasant drive to go to the. I actually lived in Iloilo before. I grew up in Iloilo, but my
All
mom's
right,
from
man.
here. I love it here.
I'm like a Manila boy. So yeah, West Visayas, beautiful place. I've been to Iloilo. I flew down
Mm,
south from Luzon. Topic for today, guys. People watching the live or the replay, right? We're talking about the connection with our mentors and the noted progress. So Matt reached out recently, and people who are watching this live for the first time or the replay, you're in for a trip. Don't worry. If ever you do get high with us, it's gonna be all natural.
yeah,
So Matt also mentioned something last night. He
yeah,
mentioned this thing related to the topic of
for
the
sure.
connection with our mentors and then the noted progress. He said this line that hit me: "What is the hope we constantly and eagerly want to give people?" So we can flow from there, Matt. Like anything you feel like sharing, questions maybe, and then if people comment live, we can answer them. We can flow with that.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for bringing those up. Like I said before we went live, for me that's very deep. Like those, and we have to ask ourselves the big questions, right? What do we want? How are we
Yeah,
gonna do it? What's the moral values? What's right and wrong in them with this intention? We'll strain it. I actually wrote that, man. Like I said
yeah,
before we went live, I was writing something long last night at 3 a.m. But I'm like, no, I need to shorten this. I mean, it made sense to me, and I said it's gonna make sense to everybody. But for some odd reason, I just want to shorten it. Because simplifying things is what we do, right, man? So
yeah,
what you said is what came out, and for me, in connection with the title we have right now is like, let's first start with our intentions, right? So we have a
yeah.
litany. Oh, wow,
Hey,
nice.
to Tati, don't worry.
Yeah,
So we're seeing your comments, guys. So go, Matt.
I love it. Miss
Comment
Taki,
this
good
way.
afternoon. Again, beautiful Sunday afternoon for everybody in the Philippines, I guess. Because if it's raining there, it's still beautiful Sunday because we're having this live in this social media platform. But anyway, going back, like, yeah, man, like intention. We our intentions now. If for everybody watching, I don't think every we all have intentions, and for me though, and for you, Mr. Mark Cruz, I know for sure all me and you in this room, we strain the intention through more of our understanding of good morals. Like, okay, what's good and bad in this part of the decision, the details. What's wrong in my behavior that I could possibly see and envision that could be possibly done by me if I didn't take care of my like awareness that some negative things will occur, and how am I going to prepare for that. But that's another way preparation for the negative bad to happen, but the positive one, right? Like the same preparation also goes into it. Like, okay, I have this beautiful intention to come up to this beautiful lady per se, perhaps, right? Like let's just give it let's just give it some context, right? So my intention is like, okay, how am I gonna do it? I'm gonna strain it through my good understanding of morals or philosophy, whatever, right? Whatever I know is good. So because I like to learn. So what happens is for me is like, okay, I could take this in multiple directions. What you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
like
which direction you want to focus on? Let's see.
yeah. For me, it's like okay, I'm gonna approach this in my own understanding of what a gentleman is. All right, so I'm gonna say, excuse me, miss. I saw you from across the room. I don't mean to be any I'm just trying to establish that my intention is like I just want to get to know you for 10 minutes, over a drink or whatever. And if things I feel don't go my way for some odd reason, from being polite and just a great guy for my own opinion or point of view of what it is, right? Then you know I leave myself open to any outcome. Just the mere thought that the intention was executed is enough for me as human being, my personality, my understanding. Like because these urges, right, these intentions, we all have them every day. It occurs in multiple ways, in multiple facets and understandings, in narrow ways in our life. Could be found in a relationship, like just the example we gave right now, right, man? Or our business or career, like we all go through these intentions of a desirable few steps ahead of the thought, right? If we stretch our imagination. um I think and that being an avid learner, you just gotta you can't overjudge yourself for outcomes that were you know based from your intentions or that's connected with your desires for a few steps forward in whatever you're trying to do with the urge, right? So you just gotta be open, because when you're open for any outcome, you're more open to learn. Like, and if you still have that same feeling that occurred from the first attempt to the second to the third, like, and then you get things right eventually. That and you know where you should be coming from in an emotional standpoint, with with people. Um, yeah, I think it's just controlling your shame or whatever, just whatever comes to it,
Yeah.
just battle.
I could share something real quick, man,
Please.
on what you just said there. So the way you defined it, just the intention, the thought, and then doing something. You said, "Excuse me, miss, I saw you from across the room." So I thought you were gonna sing a Chris Brown song or something there,
I
but
could.
yeah, to apply it, people watching the live, the replay, the intention was just to do this live, to go live with you, Matt. And by your definition, I already felt good just by taking that action. So
Thank you.
we have a tendency, people in the live, the replay watching this, if you're guilty of it too, just like me, sometimes you overthink, hey, how should the live, how should the outcome be? Should we have this grand thing? How many viewers? What's the end game? All this stuff. I usually don't feel happy when I overthink it. So right now, you said one intention, one action, one step at a time. I do feel much better just doing
Yeah.
this. And I'm just sharing another thing Matt wrote that I took note of. He took
Yeah.
up. He said something about taking risks and
Mm.
progress in life. So, doing a live right now, it's we went around late noon. It's 1:02 p.m. right now here in the
Yeah.
Philippines. We don't know what's gonna happen. It's a risk. We don't know if there'll be viewers. We don't know. Actually, we didn't even know how the live this podcast or conversation would unfold. So that
Hmm.
in itself is also a risk. So following Matt, what he just shared, just have one intention, like right one step ahead, taking an action on that, which is what we're doing now. I already feel good just doing that.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah. So
man.
back
And
to you, Matt. You were also asking about mentors,
mm,
progress in our life. Like,
thank you, man. First things first, I just want to appreciate you for saying what you just said just now. Through my meditation, like I mentioned to you, like just give me 10 minutes before
yeah,
going instead.
that's right. Before this, you were
I saw
meditating.
that. I saw that in my meditation. Like I said, like Mr. Marcus is the type of guy that just expresses what through expression of speech, through the people he chooses to see. There's then you can highlight a certain aspect of that, and you can really do it well. I've seen you do it so many times since we met, long time ago, before a long time ago, and yeah, but going back to the main topic, right? So,
Yeah.
connection with mentors. That's the first
Yeah,
part. The
and
second part is
mentors.
like the progress noted. So, like the story itself, kanina with the girl, right? With the story for context, it just builds up for this thing next. The title is that we have an intention sometimes to learn from people, coming from a need to be, you know, to either escape a current status of living,
Mm-hmm.
or to improve or scale, actually scale, cut that scale. There's a certain type of energy some people have or hold actually, that you yourself can see yourself with their just time, and their knowledge in words, expression of their you know being of energy. You can really get what that thing that made them go up there. And for me, those are desirable traits, and it could be, well, you have to stick with them to know what that is. And is it a certain knowledge or understanding on a certain topic that that enlightens their speech, so that whatever happens in their career or work, you can find traces of it, and it's the thing that helps them improve and climb the ladder for whatever that ladder leads to. So I'm
Yeah.
the type of guy. Yeah, looks like people in this space look at me
Yeah. I'll
understand me.
just add something quick, Matt, and then
Please go.
back to you at once.
Please
The
go
way
ahead.
you're describing it, why Tati put that, looks like the people in this space look amazing, is the vibe, the energy that you're describing is very expansive. Like,
Mm.
you want to expand, you want to scale.
Mm.
This is the first time I'm actually going live on my personal profile.
Mm.
So the scale of that is much. It's like 2,500 people versus my private
Right.
group, which is only like 50 people or less. So yeah, that mode, that vibe, that energy, very expansive. It's like what you're saying. So
Yeah.
yeah, from
Oh,
there, like, where do you want to take it? Yeah.
it's well described by you, man, Mr. Marcus. Like that's it. It's expansive. If we want to expand a certain part that we know is working for us right now, could be in our work. We find great examples in individuals that could help us scale. And again, for me, when I say that, there's intentions behind my back for it. Like, but we'll go into detail about that in a bit, real quick. But the connection with our mentors. Now, if we can feel that expansion uh, can occur with this certain person, if I share a lot of their time, a bit of their time, a lot of their time, just extract information and utilize the best understanding I have for it in my field. And but for me, that was built through years of like identifying what could help me and who has it. So that's another discussion in itself. But I don't know how long we have, but let's just transition next to the noted progress. Because
Progress. Okay.
yeah,
So
because like I said,
speak, yeah,
yeah, go
speaking
for
of
that.
Matt, because you mentioned progress. So here, some people we have challenges. This is Mommy A from
Oh,
Iloilo. So
feel it.
Royce and I, when we went live yesterday,
Yeah.
we also had challenges with the signal, internet.
Mm.
Right now I'm using an Ethernet cable, so
Ah,
to make it more stable. So even with challenges, sometimes there are solutions. So Mommy
sure.
A, hope you get better signal in your area there.
Mm.
So yeah, so you're moving forward, Map, on
Yeah.
progress. Are you mentioning this?
Yeah, and thank you, Mommy A and Miss Pappy. Just and again, like Mr. Mark Cruz said, if there's let's use Wi-Fi as an example. You just gotta find the
Yeah,
right place. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta go
there you
somewhere that
go.
has it. You know what I mean? I love that. So in
Yeah,
people, you can do that to that philosophy. Um, Noted progress, right? So we've established real quick that the intention behind it, the urge to go to a mentor to expand your horizons. Um, Noted progress, because that's where it really happens for me. Because when I know that I've actually improved, there's a genuine expression in words inside my head. Like, okay, I have this now. Like, I can speak. Like the progress I'm talking about is like, okay, I can talk more about it now. I can
Oh,
express more about it now. I've and the usefulness of it. Well, the crowd tells me that, because who else can experience this expression? Other people, and who can give you feedback, unwanted or wanted, other people, and that detailed orientation of how effective you are now, for yourself. And words, you can use words to address the thoughts, like writing, like, okay, well, what's the title meaning, like, but there's a heavy intention behind that meaning. The title we just talked about, the connection with mentors and the noted progress, right? So for me, this is just an attempt to address the words again, the thought again with words, like, what's that thing we can talk about. For me, my mentors before, I'm just gonna say his first name. His first name is Vinci, for like Da Vinci, something like that.
like Leonardo da Vinci.
Sure, yeah, that's how you say his
Okay.
name. He sees it. Great to see, man. We always talk. You're a great guy. You've been a great example in my life. But this, what I mean by that is, like, how did they help you with your speech, and how can you honestly say that you're a much better place now than a few steps back in the map, like, what has improved and occurred. And for me, it's always been my speech, because it's and my understanding of the words. Because last night I was writing at 3 a.m. I was like, it's so hard to express this thought with just words, so I can't call you up at 3 a.m. to talk about it, so but
Yeah, I could
yeah.
see, I could really see your progress on that because I think the first time we connected was 1 or 2 years ago,
Yeah,
and at the Prime
sure.
community.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I saw your lives. I started seeing you really stepping up. You were the one
Mm.
interviewing, like you were hosting, right? Those
Yeah.
guests. So
Thank
it really takes that higher level of speech or higher level of it's not even speech.
you.
It's your communication.
Mm.
Yeah, it's your sub communication even.
Mm.
Listening
True, man.
skills, understanding. So you said something that just hit me now actually
Mm.
because this is again in the moment. I
Please, yeah.
went to a wake probably 2 nights ago. I think 2 nights ago, and my friend, his Lola passed away. She's 99 years old. So
Damn.
speaking of progress, I
Sure.
saw some photos. She really lived life to the fullest. Like some really adventurous stuff she was doing. But then in that
Amazing.
same week, I met a batchmate who's a doctor.
Mm.
And then he started talking about not just health, functional medicine. This statistic that hit me. It was about people in the spectrum, like autism, the children that are born. Here in the country, it's like 1 in 24. One in
Mm.
24 kids that when they're born, they have a like they're in the spectrum of autism. What shocked me
Mm.
was in Korea. I think it's South Korea. It's like
Mm.
1 in 10.
Mm.
It's a lot. So I'm just connecting it to progress because the term he used was their development is delayed. Now, not speech necessarily. It's because of, he said it was because of stress. So, or related to
Mm.
mentors. You said intention. Every person has an intention or like a challenge in life
Right.
that they want to work on, some
Mm.
stress.
Right.
And that's how they develop or get that progress that you're mentioning. So for them, since he's a doctor, the science,
Yeah.
sometimes the stress affects the nutrients, the like the mother
Sure.
in giving birth, the gestation. So they can't develop areas of their brain, their emotional intelligence,
Right.
speech, lateral communication like that. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to that people watching the live or the replay, maybe what is your version of that challenge in life, that
Mm.
intention? And as Matt said, it's not only up here in the head. in the mind, thinking in your heart you'll feel it. So
Yeah.
if it's okay, Matt, I could share something really quick
Yeah.
just regarding your what you mentioned last night
Yes.
when you said what is the hope we constantly and eagerly want to give people.
Right.
My personal answer was it's related to my dream
Mm.
board or my mission. It's to help people not give up on life.
Mm.
Now, I'll make it more specific or concrete because you want to think what's an example of that. So I
Yeah.
put here understanding over fear. Maybe it's related to how you achieve a higher level of awareness. So
Mm.
I got that because when I was like 13, 14 years old growing up, I got interested in guns.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know this, but I did have relatives in Canada on my mom's side who were like an uncle who was really into guns. I didn't know that back then. I just felt like a pull and inclination to it. So the biggest thing about that is naturally I didn't know this. I grew up a very fearful person. And with
Mm.
guns, you can literally kill yourself
Sure. I see the connection.
immediately if you don't know what you're doing. Like you point the gun in the wrong direction, pull the trigger, and then boom. So whenever I had understanding of something, which maybe you
Mm.
could relate on different levels,
Sure.
the fear would always go away or it would be overcome. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, your challenge maybe is like the speech or expression of yourself.
Mm.
Then when you get an understanding or an answer to that, you have a higher level of expression of yourself. So my most recent example to that is like I didn't know emotional mental health back in 2014. So after my
Mm.
ninth relationship, I didn't know what depression, anxiety, all that stuff
Mm.
was. Codependence. See, these are new
Right.
stuff, new
100%.
terms to my awareness that I'm learning to overcome with the help of mentors also. So
Yeah.
back to you, man. Like,
For sure, man. And that's a lovely story. Just the whole thing right now just gave your story just gave it more context, right? So yeah, it's deeply rooted in stress, and then a
yeah.
desire to change that occurs. And for me, who's done a lot of like stress relieving things to progress myself away from stress, what I find myself in right now is an improvement in speech and confidence and a lot of the areas that really make me more confident. But for me, before, my struggle was my breathing. I had a, and this is just to give it some more concrete context. So
Yeah.
I was when I was young, I used to live the life. I did everything I wanted to do, and when you're young, you just want to have safe fun and everything, right? So eventually, it took a toll on my health, and you know my confidence, my state of
Mm,
mind really lessened. Like I can't even leave the house anymore for like a
wow.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's facts. Like,
Yeah. Sounds
and
serious.
it's very real. Like it's like I'm talking to the old Matt like behind me. Like, and then for me, there came a time. A good friend of mine, and me and this good friend just talked last night, right? Like I told him, like without you, man, you did. If you didn't say this to me, I would have changed because I was
Yeah.
like, on like a certain type of like medication
Mm-hmm.
because I was suffering from a severe case of anxiety that I myself have dealt with myself, and but for everybody listening, that's far away now. But
Yeah.
just to give you more context about the history of who I am now, like and what the title means is like I didn't want to live like that because a good friend of mine, his name is Elijah, and he told me because I had an episode right, and he said to me like,
Yeah.
"You really want to live like that forever, Matt?" And
Oh
and
man. Yeah.
and
Dude, can I share something really quick? Because that
please,
sounded kind of biblical, even the name of your friend,
really,
right? So you reminded me of back in 2014. Again, the reason why
please,
I'm sharing this is a personal story. So
yeah,
I learned I'm not gonna share confidential information of other
mm,
people that don't want it to be shared. This
mm,
is my personal story.
right,
Back in 2013 or 2014, towards the ending of my 9 year relationship, and I was like 27 years old back then. So it was a large part of my life.
Mm.
I asked this doctor, like off the record in a hospital,
Yeah.
and then he mentioned that he's like, if you're having anxiety attacks, you could take this yellow form drug called Rivotril, and
Mm.
like it's some pretty serious or potent, and it's not cheap. So
Right.
like when you said that, it hit me because that
Mm.
thought crossed my mind too. Like what a way to live my life if I'm just reliant on some drug, right? And then he said that the anxiety attacks will just continue for the rest of my life.
Mm.
So it didn't sound like a solution.
Nah.
So back relating to the topic of mentors progress, that didn't sound like progress to me at all.
Mm.
And as even no disrespect, even if you
Wait.
have a title like a doctor, PhD, whatever like that, MD, I don't look to you as a mentor
Mm.
if it doesn't make sense, like
Right.
what you're saying, right? So that thing you just shared hit me on a personal level because I kind of went through it also.
Yeah.
So
Thank
yeah,
you, Matt.
back to you, man.
Yeah, and through that story, I just want to transition real quick, and we'll probably stay there for a bit with the conversation. That okay, what my mentor did for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes I think a divine connection occurs when a conversation happens, a certain song plays in the radio or in the car or on the phone you chose to keep that
Yeah,
has a relevance to how you feel about life right now. And what hit me is this man before just stood up and left when I said no. And, he was asking for my time and I said no. And when he stood up, the confidence, you know, the, the assurance in himself that my opinion he didn't value over the opinion he had over himself. And I'm like, wow, the way he carries out, amazing. By that time, I was suffering with ailments, right? So it's a strange scenario, but I said, yeah, can you teach me? Because that thing he had, I lacked greatly, and because of my lack in health, and it really depreciated my confidence and stuff. And I connecting to, I can't even leave the house, right? But in that kind of confidence, shined through me, and I said, I want that again, not again, maybe again, because I had some sort of something like that before the thing occurred. But he had an overwhelming abundance of it that had energy. Like, I love that energy. And then I eventually learned his energy. And, I got a lot of his energy in me. And, by that time when I was young, that's all I did was emulate his energy, but straining it through my own understanding of morals. That that after straining it through morals, I'm left with an action that I must do now. How it's supposed to happen through my understanding of right and wrong, and the intention
yeah.
behind it.
Matt, super quick question. The energy of your mentor you mentioned, was that an energy of like certainty, confidence, the one that you were lacking, that
All of it. Yeah,
all of it, okay. And then you were taking action now
yeah.
after. So what were you doing? Like how did it translate or how did it
So I was
transform?
in yeah. So I found myself in sales later on, and
Sales. Oh
yeah,
man, like sorry, could that just hit me because I got into life
yeah,
insurance sales like as an agent in
yeah.
2014. Ironically.
So I was just in love in a romantic adventure of learning from him, his wife, and his best friend.
Okay.
And yeah, but to give you more context, when I was younger, I could see resemblance of who I am now when I was young. So,
Mm-hmm.
I could emulate as much as I can, but I go back to who I am, who I was and am. Like, am I this kind of person? Yes. So, but I have more skills now and stuff like that. So, what trends now is that those kind of skills, those soft skills I have, like those little moments and thoughts that I care more about than whatever. So those things come out more, and what certain people highlight, that I identified doesn't really matter to me. And what matters to me is truth in what form it's needed right now. I just express that, and good things happen to me because of that. And during that time in sales, I made a lot in mine. And it's really nice. In the ballpark, like 500K stuff. Like they just sold some stuff, And that's in sales, but what I got is half of what I made, right?
Mhm.
So yeah. So the amazing part is he just told me how to look at things. He told me how to look at money. He said, money is the easiest thing to make. But by that time he said that, I was already deep in his work. Like the energy he was showing me, the opportunistic energy of people that can attain through my speech, aiming at something. Last night I struggled writing this, the thing I just told you about before we went live, because it's so vague and real to me. I'm like, how can I express you? Maybe if maybe an abundance of words might help me and us see it much better, because I think there's so much detail behind a certain action that can occur, like so much transformation for somebody. But notably, I want to talk about being kind. Probably
Yeah.
is the plug-in for all this, right? um, you just gotta be kind to yourself first. Don't, like I said to my focus group of two young women yesterday. When you, because I had gave them instructions to do certain things because it promotes progress. I highlighted their strengths. I mean, Joanna is a leader. She she's a writer. She's been invited, I think, to Itbulaga. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. Right? If you're watching, like you've been invited to like one of these, like I think, is it GMA or ABS-CBN, that
Oh.
you're, yeah, because she recruited. She's 19. She published the book, and I read some of the books. Really nice. She really writes nice. And
Mhm.
Anya, a very confident young woman too. So I haven't shared
Wow.
the
Yeah.
pictures on my social media, but it's on my Instagram, because sometimes I feel like, I don't really feel like sharing, because if it feels like for me bragging, I don't want to share, because like, hey, I'm just, look at me like this. Nah, I don't want anybody to, like. I just want, if it feels like I have a deep connection with this story here, like I'm using social media to express that, then I think I'm good sharing it. But if not, you won't see me posting anything about anything. So it's
Yeah.
mostly
Yeah.
like, if it makes sense, like if I understand the purpose of it, at a much deeper niche, like uncommon way that I've learned to appreciate, then you can find me moving in that direction, leaving traces of me, like my existence there. So I really love playing in that playground. But progress for me is like, there is no fear anymore in my heart of what could occur if I step outside this house. And but the way it occurred to me that that confidence is now available to me, that certainty is now available to me, I think it
Mhm.
was because and it's so different. I just risked talking to people because I was in sales. Right? So I talk to people. What do I say? For me, I always say before, it was mostly 90% energy, 10% details. Like, that's my opinion about how I did things before, because most of the times I just found myself talking about the growth I had through my mentors. And because I generally understood and knew I wasn't anxious. I was less anxious, and that was profound for me. And I was talking about it, how it occurred for me. And that was amazing enough for clients, I guess. But still talk about details eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, the highlight of my existence that came across are other energies and people, like the little details of transformation that really occurred to me. Like, I was more braver than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
Why?
I could see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my first clients was my mom's friends. So I was in our store. We had a cafe. We think we closed it last year. Yeah, like, it's fine. Like, we have another place in the airport. But um, I was afraid talking to them. Like, there were 4 or 5 of them, including my mom, right? 5 or 6, 4 to 6 people, women, older women. And I said, it was my first time selling to them. And I'm like, now, if anybody's who's been into sales, who has approached,
Yeah.
mutual, your family or their friends, or just, and then eventually you transition to strangers, there's always that fear, right? But for me, I faced it, and they bought out of pity. But you know, I think so. If they're watching, I don't know
Well,
if you,
man, congrats to you, huh? Like
yeah,
we're because being in
ponytail.
sales, they don't always buy out of pity. Like so,
Yeah,
you must have had
attractive.
something, yeah,
Yeah.
that made them
So
buy.
yeah, eventually I got tired of fear, man,
Hmm.
because
Wow.
my ailments made me fearful of certain actions. Where I take this body in, my mind just crumbled. Right, I was a snowflake
Yeah.
back in the day. But that was like a good year, or just over a year of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just, I woke up maybe one day and just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of fear. So I sat down, just thought about it, changed. So everything I feared, I did. So I had problem with my breathing, right? Nilbud
Yeah, man. Some words
knees,
of
back.
encouragement for you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I'm at a much better state right now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I've been able to
Thank
talk
you.
to
Yeah.
crowds, and it's amazing. And notably, all those progressive things I've done before, because I was asked for my one time I was asked for my curriculum vitae, like, okay, who are you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sent those things, and they were flattery expressions of time spent doing things and the results. It was nice, but when it's time to talk with the crowd, I always talk about metaphors and stuff because sometimes it's hard to conceptualize fear. Okay, so I talk to people like, if you're afraid of something like dying and you want to conquer that in a certain action, you go for a job, which I did for a year. That made me into like a marathon runner
Mm-hmm.
status because I could run a marathon now because I every day I went for like 3 hour jogs. So for whole year, I swear to God, and I was dying by the side of the road, and I'm like, don't help, I was catching my breath because I couldn't breathe because my health was declining at the time. So nobody knew that except my mom and family. But um, I call every day I was scared to die. But it was more scary, fearful and scary for me to not do anything about it. I was more scared of just sitting still than I was scared going out there and going for a jog that gave me a 30-minute, clear view of breathing because my health just peaked maybe and I was able to get fresh air, you know?
Yeah.
So I was more afraid of dying not doing anything than dying on the side of the road, attempting to not die. So I was
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a good place to be. That now that you
yeah.
mention it, it's relatable, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, knowing there's a possibility is worth the risk for me in any area in my life, relationships, uh, career, business decisions, like friendships, relationships. If there's any hope of life that I want to occur that has strength through my moral values and is worth a try, be sure enough you'll find me there occurring the thought is occurring because of me. I took myself there, I did the mental game of dissecting what I want out of it with good intentions, because when you're young, I'm probably sure that as a younger person, as you can remember, you've already partaken in some negative acts that you can identify as negative intentions. So sure enough, I frayed away from any of those. And what's left is the good ones. And the good ones still need work because you need to identify what does it look like? What does it feel like? What are the best examples in other people older than me, younger than me, or just the same age as me have that. And an understanding of that, primarily, it short enough, a person can identify that. And, for me, ironically, I wanted to change my situation from my health to a much better place, and I'm at a better place now, right now. Um, I was convinced that I needed to move. I wasn't debating anymore. I was sure enough that I would rather risk a substantial amount of thought energy for this because the other side was terrifying. Like I can't live, I can't do this anymore. So I did that. more than 5 years along the path, I think, or 4 years. I'm at a much better place now. I understand planting a seed in people, in conversations, was good in sales. It translated into just I don't even need to make a sale. I just need to plant a seed of hope, and if sales occur there, then um, cool. But no, like I everything I did before was Gary Vee always taught me like give your best stuff for free, and so I always gave everything. I did like everything I know, like crash course right there.
Yeah.
So and it brought abundance in my life. My
Mm.
first mentee who's paying me, young woman, brilliant young woman, confident, has big ambitions. Um, I don't know if I should say her name. So, but her name is Rose,
If
but we're
it's
not going
okay
to.
with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got I got a message from her. Like she said, like can you teach me? But by that time, when I go to our cafe, to sometimes to check on the stuff, check on the person, watch it overseeing it, talk with her, and she was always there because she loved it. Peaceful Dow, and I would when I'm there, she was excited to talk. I said, I understand that, so she didn't even need to ask. I was just talking to her, so I was just "Duh, duh, 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 duh." And then she came into our community, and then
Oh,
she fell in love with the conversation. She fell in love with the aspects of people, topics, and everything. The jazz music that's coming off from this room of people, the thoughts. I mean, kids, you can go to social media, Facebook right now. This is on Facebook right now, and you can just you can. For me, I watch out for what energy is in front of me. So
yeah.
yeah, so that's why you can see me talk an abundance of words about these things, and I'm silent when I mean, if it's funny, I'm still silent, but I laugh. But if it's something really deep rooted in the proof I had of how progress occurs, then you can see me leave hearts there. Like I really appreciate that kind of expression. So for me, you if you have an ambition of sorts, you need to find a mentor. Not because, well, I have all the good reasons you can progress quicker, but the highlight there is like, is it good for you? Like you have to strain the data with the moral values you understand what's right and wrong. Um, and that little voice inside the intuition, if it's saying like, okay, this it's but for me before it was a mix, right? So it was some good and some bad, but I still knew they had something to offer me, so I took it. I became a student, and right now you're talking to somebody who just wants to learn how to be expressive more, like, and to the point where people just want to join your cause.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and it last night, I'll tell you honestly right now, last night, the thing I was writing,
Yeah.
I would just go, it feels long. One of them is like a progressive growth and evolution of understanding through risk, like, because I'm the happiest when I'm risking for what I care about.
Yeah.
And what I care about is the urges I have that go through the process. Like, if I don't do this, I might regret this. So every opportunity that presents itself that has the aroma of it's good for my existence, like be it a person, it's usually people, and it's usually the thoughts of people. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to hold them. I want them to be a part of my time here on Earth, and I want to help get it out there through expressing it for others because, ironically, and I believe people go through a lot of hardship. But if there's an aroma or scent that's making you turn or look towards a peaceful attempt at life, then follow it. You know, and this conversation, like I said to you, like I had an urge, like let's leave traces of that here. For
Yes,
me, that was my
I could
urge.
feel it. I could, yeah,
Yeah,
the
thank you.
energy.
Like, and that's guiding us. What is that, right? Could be God. So, for me, when I was struggling to take care of my health, God was with me. And but I took the steps forward, and he took 2 steps forward for me too. So each step I went on that jog, be it 1,000 or 100 steps, double that from God's perspective. Okay, He's coming to me. I need to help. God always helps. So He helped me
Yeah,
by showing me a path. Showing me a path like where can the most peace come from in my attempts, and it's through risking for understanding, and
wow.
yeah, it
Yeah, just
continually evolved.
all right. Wow, it went full circle, man, from there.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, man, you shared a lot of things that hit me on
Mm.
many different
Thank you.
levels, and then I guess, well, you said a lot, so definitely I'm gonna give it back to you. If it's
Mm.
okay, the things you shared, it hit me on different levels because different mentors also taught me the same thing. I don't
Mm.
know if you're aware of this, like with or without your knowing,
Mm.
when you were sharing that natural progression
Mm.
where you felt more fear of doing nothing
Mm-hmm.
versus taking a risk.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, when I took his seminar, Tony Robbins, he calls that a Dickens uh, process. It's like a pattern. So, uh, Charles Dickens, the guy who wrote A Christmas Carol, like the Ghost of Christmas Past, Future, all that
Wow.
is what you just shared in your example, wherein
Mm.
if your situation is so bad that you already imagine and feel 4 years from now, even just a year from now, my life will be so bad. Like it's worth risking doing anything versus just
Mm.
staying here. I believe that's very relatable. So I shared this with Royce back in 2018, and
Mm-hmm.
I was achieving. I was doing this
Right.
$1 million round table production, all that. That's when I started to dive into personal development,
Mm.
take, paying for seminars like Gary Vaynerchuk in Manila,
Mm.
then
Mm.
Millionaire Mind Intensive by T. Harbecker, and then that Quantum Leap, Tony Robbins the next years back in 2020. So I felt like if I didn't do that, I don't know if this is literal, like I would jump off a building,
Mm.
but it
Mm.
felt like my soul was dying already at that point. So for you, it could be health literally. I went through a health scare too. I think my
Mm.
immunity was down. This is kind of hard to share, but I got shingles. So like I was freaking out, dude. Like
Mm.
back then, the doctor said you have herpes zoster. So I was like, I have what?
Mm.
Like I have herpes? Like what the hell? Like parang an incurable disease or something.
Shocking. Yeah.
So long story short, it's kind of like chicken pox, something like that.
Mm.
So it happens when the immunity is down. It could be serious if you don't treat it.
Thank you for being
Medicine
honest,
back
man.
then was pretty expensive. This
Yeah.
many years ago, I think 10, 20 years ago maybe.
Wow.
And it cost like 10,000 pesos that back then.
That's
Pretty
a lot.
expensive, yeah, just for that um medication for that. Really embarrassing too as a guy,
Mm.
right?
I
So
mean, yeah. But
it,
wow, bro, you're being so honest. Like,
yeah,
it's
man, it's the
rare.
energy. I mean, you said, man, I want to be in this space, this energy, this environment, because it
Right.
lights up my mind. It lights up my spirit, my essence. Because usually
Wow.
people don't talk like this, right?
Nah. No.
And I don't like that. Sorry, like I don't like that shit. Like if we
Me too.
cannot express ourselves freely, we're not gonna get far in life. You're talking about evolution,
Mm.
about progress, right? And that could be done in different ways. You could
Yeah.
be an athlete physically. You could be like you,
Yeah.
speech or lyrically, and then it's through other ways, which is what we're just sharing here right now. Yeah,
Amazing.
I could see you feel like you want to express something, you want to share something.
Yeah. Um, you said the truth. Like, so back then when I was in sales, we had our own doubts, assumptions about what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I fray from saying what I was supposed to say and just say how I perceive a certain thing as my truth as of the moment. And, most times that's an encouraging thought in itself for others to trust somebody who's, not sure enough of what it is. Because at 22, 21, 22, 21, all I had was an urge to express desire of the little changes that happened to me through this program that trickled down into my sales pitch, my whatever, right? So my sales approach, but right now, mostly I see now it's just branding, right? How I make people feel, my energy, right? So obviously for me, whenever I say anything, I always know it's coming from the truth, and what is the truth, right? But the
Mm.
truth will shine. It will shine when you risk, and you have an abundance of resources after that to pick your truth. Like I said, but right now, fast forward, right, we're doing a lot of great stuff. Right, we're doing a lot of good programs stuff. We're helping people. I've talked to a lot of schools here and stuff. We're doing new things. Getting people on board of the project of my mind. But what I want to talk about there is like, what is truth, right? Like you can risk, and you have, let's say, a table in front of you, and you have thoughts. Now, each thought, I'll go into detail. I could think negatively and pessimistically about what happened, how they showed disrespect to me, or whatever, and choose to hate them. Or
Yeah.
I could pick, you know, make, or just shuffle through the table and, oh, I see a good thought, that something that it could be a good idea to look at more, be the source of this thing next, which is I could choose to love them and help them, like, because right
Yeah.
now I'm looking at progress, like, okay, people are so slow to progress here, let's say where I'm from. And I could choose to look at that and hate them because they're slow, they're this and that. Or I could choose to look at, to love them and help them, like get you up there, help you think about what I think about, which is if it's
Yeah.
desirable in places I'm from and in, help you attain it, help you hold on to these thoughts and become a source of light for others too. Be it a responsibility to shine some light every day on people, you know
Yeah, man.
so I could choose to look at that, and it encourages me.
Yeah, what you said just really hit me to the core because I was having a recent conversation, an epiphany. So excuse me on that one, on the truth, and Royce with his whole enneagram, the profile thing. He saw that I was this thinker,
Mm,
um, morally right, what is wrong,
mm,
objective truth, like that.
mm, mm,
What I learned about the truth is like a simplified way. The way you
mm.
said it's better to simplify it. It's harder, but
Mm.
it's better. So
Right.
the truth is, my one of my mentors, say T. Harvecker, he talks
Mm-hmm.
about the lower self and the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
We both have it. Like what you said, fear, right, or love. So usually people would say, "Oh, you're afraid. That's not true. That's not real." Fuck
Mm-hmm.
that shit. Sorry, like we're here in Real Talk
Yeah,
Lifeline.
it's really
Fuck that
honestly.
shit. People will not listen to you if you don't meet them where they're at or you don't acknowledge the reality. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to focus on the negative only,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a truth, and it's actually my default. Like I really see everything that could go wrong
We can see
potentially.
that, yeah.
So sometimes they call those like crisis leaders, Winston Churchill, all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a curse. But the truth is, what you said, the love side is also true. And
Yeah.
here's the irony. Let's say someone is slower. I could relate to that in
Right.
sales. My case count was like very low over the
Mm.
years versus like the average person or higher. So if you treat that person, the slower person with love, they're actually gonna be faster than you in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a different kind or level of genius. So maybe their
Right.
case size was huge. because they
Mm.
specialize in high net worth clients or whatever. For you,
Right.
maybe someone might say, "Hey, look at these guys, like the way they talk. Why is it so slow or whatever like that? Or
Mm.
why is it so long-winded?" If you give that person love or patience, they are going to be way faster than you in
Mm.
certain areas of life.
Mm.
So, and it's not about taking over or overtaking or one-upping anyone.
Yeah.
When you come from that place of love that you said, you or I will be able to help the world in a better
Mm.
way. Now,
Yeah.
if you're the freaking rabbit, cheetah, multitasker, whatever, you then do your strength, right?
Right.
Go do you, right? We're not gonna slow you down. We're not
Right.
gonna hold you back. We would give
Right.
love to you. Right? So it
Wow.
really hit me, it really resonated because we all help each other in our own unique way. So I really believe what you said. And the truth, to acknowledge the people who are faster
Mm.
than us like that, they have their own set of challenges.
Right.
Maybe they can't just sit down and be with themselves. Maybe they
Mm.
can't fucking relax.
Mm.
That's their challenge. They don't know how to like
Yeah.
just chill. They don't know how to do that. It's actually hard.
Mm.
So it's like that's how we end up helping each other. All the truths are
Right.
there. So I just understood it on that level recently.
Sure. And the way you said everything there, man, Marker, is like everything makes sense there because that's it. And the last part will just begin with that. Like that's your challenge, right? Whatever that is right now. Like if you can't freaking relax, try. Like do research, Google, whatever. Like attempt the greatness that you want to relax, right? Like whatever, and you can trickle that, transcend that into other places. Like learn, adjust, attempt, and you'll find yourself in a state of mind that there's nothing definite so much, but there's only progress. There's only a love for not defining things, finite. When a defeat comes, it's not the end. It's only the beginning of you trying to attempt it for some to say yes. What has to happen in your speech, in your mind, in your soul, in your deep intents, in your understanding of what you want the
Yeah.
outcome to look like. Change it. Experiment with different outcomes. Utilize writing. Understand and note that these things do not progress me. And showing an appreciation for continuous. Because when you look at every day as a learning phase or thing, like I'm excited for that day. Like
Yes. Yeah.
so, I'm in a state of mind now that if I could find escape from terrors in my mind through an understanding that every day is an opportunity for me to like discover an understanding that supports the cause of me escaping that, going to peace. Like I'll do that. Like I'll
Yeah. You.
be in constant learning mode.
By the way, Matt, you said something that just hit me again.
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
and it's related to learning what you said. It's
Yeah,
not linear or what it seems at times. Because you said escape the suffering in our mind. I'll share
mm,
two things that hit
please.
me quick.
Yeah,
One
please.
is when I discovered ice baths, November
Mm,
2021. It taught me not to escape the suffering in the mind. It taught me to sit with it. And that's
wow.
actually a good thing. Like you sit with the suffering. And there's a way to do it without force, without resistance. There's a strange way to embrace it. So the second thing that hit me is on progress. People think it's going faster more.
Mm,
Well, Coach Bam, one of my mentors, Coach Bam Santiago, he passed away less than 2 weeks ago. That's February 28th. It's March 12th now. So
wow.
when he did that, he taught me how to die or how to exit with grace. So people are so busy focusing on on like how to live,
Wow.
right? That's progress. That's not only progress. Knowing how to die is also progress.
Yeah.
That's what I learned in these past 2 weeks.
Wow.
Now, if you don't believe me, have a near death experience.
Mm,
Get fucking food poisoning, right?
mm,
Or have a near miss. You
Well,
will
I get it.
either go through that near death experience in fear, like, oh, I'm not yet ready to go, or whatever, like that,
Mm,
or like in fear resistance. Or Coach Van taught me the lines that hit me was, Lord, if it's my time, it's okay.
mm,
But if it's not yet my time, let me help more people.
mm. Wow.
So it goes back to a point that you said not everyone has this, the awareness too.
Mm,
He had that deep desire, like you wanted to get better. Some
mm,
people will call that like a dream. Because I was asked to make my dream board back in 2015.
mm,
My answer when my manager asked for that internally was, I don't have any dreams. Dude, that might
mm.
sound kind of fucked up, man, but that's the truth. Like, I was in a state wherein I didn't have any desires. I was numb. Like,
Right.
it's hard to be hungry when you're well fed.
Right.
So, T. Harv
Like
Eker,
that.
his line in that is, "Comfort is the kiss of death."
Mm,
So, like, when you're in a lukewarm environment, right? Like, you have enough to eat, but it's like
right.
mediocre. You're not really getting better, but you're kind of numb, like that.
That's
Not
interesting.
enough pain, but not enough pleasure, whatever. Like, that's like a flat line while you're alive, right?
Mm,
So when people make the zombie jokes, I don't think they get what it really means. Like, there
yeah.
are people who are literally like living dead,
Right.
and I was one of them.
Me too.
So
Before.
that is my struggle, actually, like the whole depression thing. There are
Mm,
days wherein it feels like when I type counting my blessings today, get up, it
mm,
feels like I have to fucking defib myself. Like, the thing that shocks your chest just to wake you up.
mm.
So doing this live is like that, actually. It's a massive weight, right? I'm not stuck in my head. We're putting
Yeah.
ourselves out there in the world that's taking massive action too. And then after this, just like as you said, we also do other actions
Yeah.
to to get
I mean,
better.
yeah.
hmm
For
So
me,
certain
yeah, I
things you
love
said
it.
that just hit me. Yeah, back to you, man.
Thanks, man. Like, thank you so much for for saying all those things. And all those things are true and can be found in a certain point of time when a certain set of actions have occurred now that leave the individual with thoughts like that to dabble with, to think about, to endeavor with, to engage with. And the utility I always found that really helped is like moral values, moral what's right and wrong, because it can simplify what comes next. Like you know, naman, you can't give up because it's important to you, and you want to get over and through this problem you have. Like, what are you left with? Well, the good thing there is you have to keep trying, and some sense will come into light, but when and how I don't know, because I'm not them. But what can and the good thing about this podcast, and when we're seen talking about such topics, right? Sharing our own personal endeavors around it, it can occur some insight for others where if it's not showing any signs of life yet, does it really make sense in your moral compass to stop trying after just a measly first attempt at something you want to last long in your life? Or will you be more encouraged to pursue it every day? For Because if you have a good grasp of understanding is not simple, it's complex, but it leads to when the first attempt is just one line, it sprouts into different areas, and then it all leads to one line again. But you have an awareness of understanding how it can occur, and you can express that through your speech with others in front of the stage, a crowd, and have them occur it with their lives to make them do the thing, not because it's it makes you more money, but it makes you more money if you're more subtle man when it comes to, and it's always touchy for me, right, the money. But um because I in all my conversations with my colleagues, you, and with people here from my town I get to share time with, their urges, I always go back like, what do you want to do with your time? like who do you want to be with. These are like slots that you can pick where you want to do some action, and so just do
Yeah.
that. Just do that, and don't overjudge yourself. That's all I ask in simple forms, right?
Yeah. Man, what you just said right now, Matt, the way you said it, what do you
Mm,
want to do? It comes, I felt, it comes from a
mm,
place of curiosity, openness. And
mm,
why this is so subtle for people who are watching the live, the replay is the way you said it, it's very encouraging, open, curious. And
mm.
it's the opposite of what most people, I believe,
Yeah.
feel. It's stifled, meaning they feel like I don't have permission to speak. I don't have permission to try this. I don't have permission to do this because of religion. And they say I'm gonna go to hell. It's a mortal sin, whatever. And man, live your life the way you said your moral compass, all that, your conscience. Live
Mm,
according to that.
yeah.
Now, I'm not here to judge the like
Yeah.
virtue
Me too.
signal because I've had friends, batchmates, man, you could say they've done stuff. Maybe it's borderline criminal
Mm-hmm.
activity, whatever. People
Right.
can point the finger at me and say the same thing. They're like, hey, why'd you get into guns like that? You'll never understand it unless you walk a mile in their shoes.
Yeah. I'm
So I believe in karma or like that it's like the universe is self-regulating.
I
Let's say
love
if
that.
I use guns for an evil reason to kill people, whatever,
Mm.
well, they would put me in jail really fast.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
actually why I like guns. The
Mm.
consequence is so immediate. It's
Right.
not like it's not like a low level drug that oh you won't get caught for it yet agad
Mm.
tapos you won't go to jail or whatever. I actually like direct or harsh consequences so I can learn faster.
Right.
Now you mentioned sales, that's pretty brutal. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
getting into life insurance was a sales thing. So
Yeah.
if you can't take rejection, that the prospecting, the whole cycle, that's brutal. So I'm going back to the topic of mentors.
Mm.
Mentors are kind of like magicians, the best ones, because
Mm.
they can turn the pain into something really good, into power. Like, let's say I had a marketing background. So,
Mm.
college from 2005 to 10, 5 year course. Then you get this master's degree. It was communications, integrated marketing communication. So, they teach branding there.
Mm. Wow.
So that's one way of flipping sales, if ever. Yeah. So and it's cool, man. It's all good. So
Yeah.
some people love sales. I have a cousin like that. Got the $1 million mouthpiece. He's charming. Like he loves it. It's fun. It's challenging too. And then there are people who learn branding, and then they think branding is cheating because you're doing nothing, but they didn't look behind the fucking curtain where every
Mm.
day you have to
Right.
fix your fucking face,
Yeah.
invest in yourself, your body, your health, your image, and it's not out of vanity. It's just like
Love that.
dude, you wear a suit, you gotta buy that shit. You
Yeah.
gotta take care of your fucking hairstyle.
Yeah.
That's an investment, right? And we're guys.
Yeah.
When you look at a woman who freaking does her kilay, her eyebrows, and all
Yeah.
that, and everything else, that's on a different level, right? So that's branding, that's
Mm.
marketing, and sometimes it makes your life easier,
Mm.
but sometimes it's not for other people. They prefer to do
Yeah.
it the sales way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I get it.
the mentor can actually like be the game changer for that. So
I
back to
love
you,
that,
man.
man. I love that, man. And one thing popped into my mind, like when it's showtime, when you want to show the world who you are, it's usually a result of the back end, behind the curtains. Like, okay, what's
Yeah,
occurring in your mind?
the back end.
Um, that. So if it's bad, it's bad. It looks bad, man. But if it looks good, it sounds good, it feels good, it feels like life. That person is subject to my of an idol. Like, what here is a source that I want to learn, right? What's the resource here? Because it's a tempting, attractive view on a person. So for me, I chase those things. I craft my own versions of those things after I get an abundance of information about them.
Yeah,
What's special about my versions of it is like I know who I am in bits and pieces through my wrist, that what I want to see more. So last night, again, I was attempting the great in my speech in my life. I was like, okay, but a lesson. But for me, I just want people to take risks and have a progressive mind of understanding. Like, don't be fine. It's
Mm,
not the end. Just keep going. Like you said earlier, which I love, and you're putting words in the mix to add more context. Just walk a mile, right? So
yeah,
like, not take just a step, walk a mile. Like then you'll learn more about it, and then whatever conclusion you come to, and if it feels like you can't push it further, the envelope more, you can't push the limits there more. Maybe it's high time to test it out, right? So go for it, try it out, and then if it brings back like, oh, these things need to be worked on more, so you have the drive again to further. And if you're clueless, you just keep searching. Right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't expect the right answer to hit you like a brick when you first conceptualize the thought, I want help. It's not going to hit you with, okay, here, the message isn't that straightforward yet. But if you're hungry and you desire that change still, even after multiple, you can't even call it failed attempts, because if you keep trying,
yeah,
you really don't fail. So you progressively maintain a steady course towards, a progressive understanding of it. And then if you're the type to always apply, the statistics you have now in the real world, like in the playground, in your like test field, then you can just get more results and keep improving. I think what I want people to have is just a love for learning. Man, like,
yeah, yeah.
so much to
Dude,
learn.
you shared something, man, that really hit
Yeah.
me again to the core. And I don't know if it's because I'm hungry, but the analogy, yeah, this thing, I just want to simplify it in a way that
Yeah.
people could relate to what you just said.
Mm.
I thought of this example just now. It came to me, and mentors learning progress that it reminds me of food
Mm.
and risk
Mm.
too. It reminds me
Wow.
of food. So when you are hungry, you will naturally look for food. You'll naturally
Mm-hmm.
look for learning or the answers. Mentors are like that. Now, if we have a
Right.
low level of awareness in the start, like
Mm.
me, maybe like you back then, like that,
Mm. Yeah.
we're
It's a
gonna
good.
eat whatever. We're gonna eat some bullshit McDonald's, fucking
Sure.
garbage, yeah, like and junk
You
food like
think it's
that
good for us?
unhealthy. So because we just need something, like
Yeah.
and like that. So we're just fulfilling our needs on a super base level,
Yeah.
and then the learnings, like
People.
mentors, they're gonna be dirty ones, low nutrition, bad for health
Mm.
ones like that. But
Right.
as our awareness goes up, or maybe you're
Mm.
fortunate, you grew up in an inner circle of high net worth, high
Mm.
level individuals. You're like the son of Tony Robbins, the son
Mm.
of T. Harv Eker, or whatever like that. You grew up in
You
a
get
really good
access.
environment. Your food was really clean and healthy. You were
Mm.
eating salad, fruits, maybe back in the province.
Yes.
Then that's the advantage. You're eating clean, healthy food from the start. Then
Mm.
suddenly the opposite is true. Like when you grow up, you get exposed to Manila or city food, which is
Mm.
junk and unhealthy. You have to
Yeah.
relearn to find good mentors, good lessons, good
Yeah. Ooh.
answers like that.
Yeah.
But you're always gonna have a hunger. Well, okay, not always if you're put in a really comfortable
Some stuff.
environment, and I mean that in a bad way, right? Like it makes you numb, like it doesn't make you learn
Yeah.
anymore, um, makes you stagnate like that. So you will look for
Love
that
the
and then
combination.
pick the healthiest ingredients which we
Mm.
can learn through awareness. Say you don't like this life, you don't like Matt, you don't like Martin,
Mm. Yeah.
um, not just their
Sure.
face, the way they think, the way
Mm.
they talk like that. Well, I hope you find other people that
Sure.
feed you healthy, high level ideas. They're
Mm.
relatable. They give you the answers you need. That's part of why I made Real Talk Lifeline. If someone asks a question in the chat, we'll give them an answer
Yeah.
that
I
they
love
can
it,
take
man.
action on.
You're awesome with your words, man. That's an abundance of words that really makes sense, especially
Yeah,
where
the food.
food, like, I'm going there, and I'm gonna go there real quick, like to add more to love that love of a thought, you hold
Yeah,
dear
yeah,
and near
you
to
could
your heart.
express it in your own way, man.
Yeah.
That what you
So
shared just hit me on that level. Like it's not even that deep or complicated. Like
yeah, it's not
if people can't understand it, mentors, learning progress, well maybe you'd understand food.
right. Food,
So
simple. When you're hungry, you go searching for food. You fill your stomach, but there's, like you said, a lack of awareness of what it can do inside you.
yeah,
From the quality standpoint of what you're consuming. So,
yeah,
like thoughts, right, and people.
correct. Oh, you're
Believe.
man, you're going there now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you know it.
similar. Yeah, thoughts, whatever we put in, and man, because you said that
Oh yeah,
I love my mom.
let me go there.
The thing is, because when I got into personal development, they say it was Jim Rohn, the mentor of Tony
I
Robbins.
love
He
you, bro.
said, "Stand guard at
Hmm.
the gate of your mind,
The door of your
whatever
mind.
thoughts you feed." So my mom, she reads the
Yeah.
newspaper, she watches
Hmm.
news, and then I found out later on in my life, it's mostly negative. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
not here to say I'm
Yeah.
better than
Get
you or anything. I
it,
just
babe.
got a higher level of awareness. So
Mm.
if I'm mindlessly scrolling through Facebook for us, our
Mm.
generation,
Right.
Facebook,
Right.
Instagram, maybe the younger ones, TikTok, and you're not
True.
aware of what you're watching or putting in your mind, then you're putting garbage in and garbage out,
Right.
right? So,
They don't
and
know.
then you don't believe me, hang
Yeah.
around certain people. What are they talking about?
Right. How does it make you feel?
Not, and I'm not here to say, oh, look at us guys. We're consuming high level content. We're sharing with you for free
Sure.
like that. I got my own shit.
Yeah.
So I'm very much open for feedback, and you can go,
Mm.
oh, Martin, you're missing out on
I love
this
you, bro.
blind spots, right? Feedback. I'm open to that. I'm very open to that too.
I love it.
What we're both sharing here is come from a loving place.
Oh yeah, for sure,
So
definitely.
we want everyone to get better. We don't want to kick you when you're down. Like if
No,
you're in pain, I don't want to like
no, never.
pour acid on the wound or something
Yeah,
like that.
devastating,
So
devastation.
it's yeah, what you're saying.
I love it, man. And that's an expression of care and an expression of like utility that is an assurance from you, like this will help. Like you're so true
Yeah,
there, man. When it comes to like choosing who to consume, and you're usually not you're not uh spending money like food for food. You're
yeah,
spending time and energy understanding something. And when it's high time to show the world what you understand, get out of the curtains from your mind and go to the spotlight, because life will shove you into the spotlight because you need to. And here's the other part. If you're the type of person that is forced to do it, oh, I think that's a bad spot, because
yeah,
your thoughts are not encouraging enough for you to go on stage and do what you're meant to do, which is explain progress for humanity's help, aid and help, right? But you know, it means, and in the details of this, right? Let's just talk about the five details. Like, why do you want to consume quality people, and
mm,
spend energy and time to understand what you're trying to say? Because you do expend energy and time to understand something. Like driving a car, you take the time. So I think a good subject behind above those things is like, how does it make you feel? Because if it left you, and you need awareness to do that, right, man? Like you can't, because
yeah,
you occur with the emotions, but you're not aware of them. But when you're like, for me, like when I said like I'm tired of being fearful, that's like me being aware of the fear and not choosing anymore to be in that state. So I'm aware, like I changed who I listen to. Did I attempt different things because I listened to different people? Yes, they were telling me to do things, so I did that. Did the quality of life change right away? Not precisely, but there was a growing, looming sense of hope that it could possibly be 10,000 kilometers after running, whatever.
yeah,
So um, I just did the 10,000 kilometers thing. And sure enough, like the expression walk a mile, what's in store for you will be given to you for anybody who walks that mile, and if you like going there, I mean, if the path feels nice, obviously the most practical thing to do is to keep going, right? Like, improve that understanding. Is it in because sales is just like an expression of an understanding. But for me, I just like to think about, yeah, it's so much how I make people feel, and at the end of the day, it has to go through this training process of my moral values and compass. And
Yeah.
the urges just hit me like what I have to do now, and that's like it's like my job every day, man. To pick the best decisions and make, and when I do them congruently and consistently, thoughts like I I love to share someone. It's like I love making the right decisions,
Hmm.
So, and learning the right decisions is another discussion in itself because, okay, if you've identified what's wrong and not to do, what do you think is right? Because that in itself is an abundant of progress to start working on. And for me, the thing I said last night, earlier this morning, is like when you're faced with problems from your endeavors that you want to understand something and it's not happening right now, um, just the thing in my mind is like I'm trying to shine my eyes on it, like, and it's trying to avoid me. Why are you trying to avoid me? Like, like it's like um, learn from everything, you know,
Yeah.
learn from everything, and because ideally, what you want to understand sometimes it's not found in just one place. It's just by having the desire of it. Examples of progress for it will be more open to you. You can see more examples, like more vividly now. Okay, maybe it's not inside this book anymore. This desire, maybe having I just have I mean just having this desire. I can see in my conversations with others what I'm trying to aim at, being present, and if I have ways to help to heal that, to heal that, to improve that, I am taking action. Just why not? Why not? And you know, like I said in the question this morning, right? Like, what does the hope look like that we eagerly and consistently want to give others? It's there's never judge yourself like
Hmm.
that. I think in totality, just don't judge yourself when you're trying to do something. Just don't judge yourself. Like last talk I did in a museum. Like I think I flunked it. I was talking to two
Which one
schools.
is this? Yeah.
I flunked it. Yeah, I was having trouble with my speech because I went through a horrible, terrible process of something, and it was on late notice. I was invited to talk, and I said sure, and I I I did talk. Sure, wasn't my best. Definitely wasn't. Sometimes it hits me with shame, like what? But I tried to sit down and talk with that shame, like why are you here? Like, what do you want from me? I always tell my I know for a fact I want to continuously improve, but you shame keep making me feel shame nahiya ako what I did. Um, Now, if people think I didn't flunk because sure I can talk about the good, but I know I can do more. I can do my best, right? So I didn't.
Mm.
So what happened is I have to be honest with people that got me. Like they might have saw a different side to me, like oh that was flunk or whatever, right? But for me, I was honest with him. Like I said, like no, tell you honestly, man. Like it's the guy who invited me to talk. Right? He's the head of psychology in multiple schools in the city and the illegal and stuff. So I said to him like, and we by this time we're really good friends now. We've talked a lot, straight year, a year more than a year talking. consistently. Um, I said to him like that wasn't my best work, and I told him every detail. I'm not gonna say it here, but I told him every detail why I think I flunked it. I didn't like was it like 50-50, 50 bad, 50 good? Probably. Because they were young people. And like yesterday, I talked to the focus group I had with girls, with the girls. Uh, Two of them came from that school, or one of the
Mm.
two schools, St. John Lasal. And I told them yesterday that that thing occurred too in that talk I did with them last year. So I'm like, I feel good being honest with them. Because honestly, if I don't want to hide things, like being honest is always interesting for me. Like even the tough conversation before, having the intention that being honest is like the right thing to do and interesting. Like I want to experiment. So siguro for me, what I want people to take, you know, from my this special urge is I think I constantly roar about this and everywhere I go. Is like do not give up on trying. Like I don't
Mhm.
even care what you think about this situation right now. Just don't think it's fine. It's finite. Yeah, that's the end. That's it. No, it continuously evolves, and expressing it sometimes makes it feel like it was the right decision to do because what you've accumulated is being poured out in their cups, and um, but that was your past progress, and did it give results in economic terms? Sure, yeah, and I expressed that because when I was in sales before, I was like, my theory was this. I even have the old notebooks still here in the closet. When I was like 21 or 22, man. By the time I was writing, but right now I have a new journal here, right here, right here. So it's right.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, like my theory before was like when I was selling, I just sold one, and that wasn't out of pity. That was like, okay, somebody just said yes, but it took a while to happen. And my theory was, okay, if I could sell one, I could sell. There's people out there to sell, and I just had hope. Like if I sold one, I had hope I could sell more. Like probably the first evolution, the first version of the thought was like, I I know there's people like her that I sold to or him. Find them. I'll find them. And then eventually it evolved. Like this is the story from my intention because I want people to not judge themselves in the current status quo or whatever, right? So what happened to me was like, okay, that was version one. If I sold one that took the time to sell, I need to find him or her again and other people. Eventually it evolved into details like, oh, it was from my understanding of this or hope that my life would change for the better because I'm in a dire need of a situation, a different situation in my health. Like I was, expressing this and that, and then eventually it led to more details that I thought it was okay. I'm gonna do this. They said yes to this more. This is the thing now. This is my moment now. I'm gonna do this more, and eventually, I never judged myself in each step. So I just found out 10 more ways to do something to make people say yes. Now, was my intention to just sell? No, my intention was just to learn. Like I'm dying in a bit, in a sense, not in a bit, in a sense, because I'm in my situation before, and what just made sense is to try anything, man, and to try anything to change the situation.
Mhm.
So the situation did change, but the question is for everybody listening. Yes, we had hope that I had hope for that change, but did it occur how I thought how it would occur? No, hell no. That desire happened in different ways. But sometimes we get so defeated when we think the intention we had in mind for the change didn't occur how it happened in our mind. We stretched our mind. to how it can occur. We were encouraged to try and attempt it there in the places we found it could be useful to attempt there for that progress to happen here. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, ultimately, we don't have control over that.
Yeah.
What we're owed is an opportunity for it in the form it comes now. So for me, I just want people to have that sense of feeling like don't judge what's in front of you when you ask. Do occur to it. Like be about it. Like engage with it. Be curious. Like um
I'm curious, did you learn that naturally or did a
yes,
mentor teach that to you or something like that?
that came from me because I was taught like a soldier. So
Oh.
yeah, I fought like a soldier too. You know, in some sense, I killed a lot of enemies in the battlefield. But those enemies taught me, you know, how to defeat more of. And sure, we can look at the people who killed in that narrative, in that story. We're like humans. No, I've defeated versions of myself that I hated in them. Like I spoke the truth of the change I wanted and desired out of my attempts in them, through them, these people. Those versions of them, you know, in me and in them, I think I killed. Like I killed and destroyed what I hated about me. That's why I'm fighting for it in my expression of speech out there. And then when I feel like they said yes to me, I feel like I defeated that version of myself there in them. Like I conquered the evil that I keep fighting, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's strange. And that's how I believe it is, you know, and um why are we expressive so much right about these things? Because we want to fight something like evil, darkness, whatever, the dark force. Like if we're talking about Jedi's, like the dark side, right? My lightsaber is my voice and speech. However, I win. You know what winning looks like for me is like I made them stop judging themselves. Maybe like for every wrong thing they did. Because when you're young, you're full of wrong things you did, right? Um, if you admit it or not. And when you're older, you work on healing them. You work on destroying the old, you know, rebuilding the new from the clay models you've seen people at a certain age, older than you, have. And, you know, it's quite nice. And you want that version of a statue in your garden. So you get to work, right? You get the materials. Where do you get it from? In that's metaphorically speaking, right? So you go take risks. You understand bit by bit, and that's the purpose of risk: is to understand bit by bit what the mile has to offer, right? And whatever outcomes happen, just as long as your family is safe and healthy, you keep trying, man. Like if there's nothing else stopping you from trying to achieve anything, and you live wealthy and nice, just and here's the best part. You opened this up earlier to Mr. Martin Cruz that it's so hard to be hungry when you're not hungry. Then what are you left with, right? So for me, studying some conversation around Saint George of the Dragon, some conversations arose that I find very fascinating and intriguing, which is yes, there are no more dragons now for you to literally speaking. I don't even know if they were real before, but we can believe in as much stories tell with how they felt conquering them. But interestingly enough, I saw dragons in my shame. Like when am I shame for? Like what? That's my dragon. Like I said earlier, right? Like those one of my dragons. Like yes, I flunked, but not in the eyes that they didn't know I flunked. But I was honest enough with myself to express that that's my dragon. Like to defeat the dragon, I must tell the truth. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
post in front of people like I'm the best, even though I was invited to be a guest. I'm like I'm not gonna posture them. I'm gonna tell them how I felt. Like because they're young, they don't know what it actually is to be like me inside me. Like Okay, how did I earn that? From merit, right? How did I merit, right? You earn stuff. You're in that position there to talk. Like, what, right? It was a personal development week. I think that was in October last year. Something, people highlight in the year that they're excited to talk about with people they like. So it was an art museum. There was Mama Mary everywhere. So that was like the status right now in that museum. Talked with some artists and stuff. Uh, made networking there. Like, we could collaborate with woodwork stuff. But my focus group consists of my honesty. Like, they saw what I did in front, but when they come closer to me, I'll tell them what occurred in me, so they'll know what happened. Because if you're a figure that's being idolized or whatever, or it's it's you people establish you worth listening to, I'm not gonna posture to them how I feel my character affects them. When they come close, I tell them who am I, like what's occurring inside me. When I look at them, like when I feel joy, like I'm gonna tell them the joy I feel is located in the progress I notated about me that you get to experience because of certain situations that played out. And it's not luck, I guess, that we're here or we get invited to talk somewhere. I think it's a product of design.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's people who have substance to give, and that niche down information sprouted from your lifelong love for learning. And obviously, you're vocal about it because through your lifelong learning, the examples of human beings you've chosen to partake in have expressed it. So naturally, you're convinced to express it yourself, and you find yourself in situations found in the books. And what happens next is, that's your journey or your versions of it, and
Yeah.
you strive to tell the truth. And the truth is an adventure in itself. Telling the truth is an adventure.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I when I just said that, it made me feel like I could climb mountains because of it. And why not do that if it felt like that, right? You can climb mountains because you can tell the truth. That's how you feel. Go
Yeah.
act it out. Like, it's it's my truth. Like, but
Yeah.
to get there, there's a lot of shit that needed to happen. So, but the primary advice, like, don't overjudge yourself when you're trying to attempt to fix yourself and heal yourself. Don't overjudge it. Like, every attempt is lab results. So
Hmm.
keep an open mind
It's
that, yeah,
it's relatable. It's kind of like what we're doing now. You mentioned what is the hope we constantly and eagerly want to give people.
mm,
One answer is what you said. It's speaking our truth.
yeah,
So when it really comes from your core, your essence, my belief is like why we're doing this live is it not everyone will be able to relate, but my
yeah,
belief is at least one person in this
mm,
world it will resonate, and it's going to be freakishly accurate, like universal, exactly
so
the same.
it's a lot
And
of
that's
active
hope.
stuff.
And that's hope for that other person. Not
Yeah,
everyone might relate with this live or watching the replay, right? So the ones that do get it, and look, you shared something that hit me, and I don't know if I'm in the opposite
please.
end. You said you have a very good inner compass. When I
Mm,
grew up, instead of like you said, be kind to yourself, that's what you want. When I grew up, I don't know if it's that traditional Asian culture system. Like, you're given grades. If you don't make the grade, you're a
mm,
failure. And
sure.
then when I grew up, I don't know if my dad was intentional or aware of it. I felt like I couldn't make a mistake.
Mm,
Now, I'm not extreme to the level of like some Chinese, Japanese, like, oh, you dishonor the family, whatever. But I
mm,
joke because that's how it feels.
mm,
That's how it feels for me. So when you say be kind to yourself, you say, well, how do you do that? How do you give hope? It's by
Mm,
living your life. Well, you didn't fucking commit suicide, I
mm,
guess, yet.
yeah.
So people who don't
Oh,
get the dark
yeah.
humor, I don't hear people talking about that on Facebook, on a live,
Yeah.
on their posts like that. They don't want to talk about that shit.
You,
For me, that's hope. That is hope. You're telling the truth, and you're not giving up.
yeah. And that's the main point, right? Not to give up.
Mhm.
Like, do we have a concrete proof or evidence of that? A really good substantial amount of something to see, perceive, feel, touch, or whatever. Not yet, but just keep going. You mentioned Kanina and social media. I'm big on like describing social media right now.
Yeah,
Most of it's clickbait. You know, like this and that did this. They cheated on somebody. They did somebody wrong. They like. How is anybody close to the thing we are talking about? If we just wanted to read some highlight of somebody's life that they made a wrong decision, and you want to milk it by saying, and it has a gossip feel to it,
yeah,
which I don't like. Like, it's
that's
not.
good actually.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't make me think. Like, I mean, being kind though, a substance of kindness, an essence of kindness found everywhere for me. It's so appealing. Like,
yeah,
it's progressive too. It's You can find kindness when you're studying. Like, oh, I'm being kind to myself when I study because it gives me peace. You know, like, and then when I try to exemplify the peace, like show it to people, like, oh, they like it too. Um, but going to that kind of peace, and actually last night I was writing about it. Like again, it's so long what I wrote, but that again I erased it because that was my explanation of it, and the question was for me more details. So like, I could talk about it, which was good last night because it was a memento mori for me last night, and
wow.
yeah, I literally was like in a memento mori state. Like I had a skull visually in my hand. Like I'm looking at it. Like, what do you want me to say about life, huh? Like how how I feel about it. How I feel about it is I don't judge my mistakes. Like, do I feel bad or regret them? Yeah, but I'm on to the next cow. I'm trying to milk the next cow, the others. I'm not crying over spilled milk, but I remember it was a waste. But like if I sit there and stay mad that I spilt it, and everybody that comes across me, like I make them feel like I'm still mad about it, like that's not gonna help me. But so for me, it's like I have an abundance of milk again, information, assets, tools, like opportunities, results. Like I'm happy about that. You know, I have
Mhm.
glasses full of it. Like I have cartons
Yeah.
full of it. Like
But
that's
by the
good.
way, Matt, you shared something that hit me
Yeah,
again.
go for it, man.
So over the years, I became like a mentor to like 10, I think, at some point 10
Yeah,
mentees for
I
work,
love it.
like in life insurance. Out of the 10, one of them became successful. Felt really fulfilling. So here's something I felt like sharing. It's a challenge. So we have a lot of information. Man, I got journals, workbooks of the Quantum Leap, T. Harv Eker, Tony Robbins. I mentioned this to Royce yesterday. I don't even mind sharing that information with you for free. And I've spent like 5,000, 6,000 US dollars equivalent here in pesos. So, and I would give that, I would share that for free. You know what's freaky?
Wow.
This is a trap. Maybe for you and me. It's a trap. Not everyone will value the information.
No,
Most
no.
people won't because they didn't pay for it. There's no context. So
Yeah.
the trap there or the challenge is meet people where they're at because you mentioned the word kindness.
Right.
So in my industry, a lot of people are doing it for the money. And
Sure.
if we do that virtue signaling bullshit, Na parang we act morally superior. Fuck that. It doesn't work. So I
Mm.
had to unlearn that shit.
Well,
Meaning,
love that word.
it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So once you fulfill basic needs, help them. It doesn't make
Mm.
them any less of a person. It
Mm.
doesn't make you or me any less of, or any more than a person. So if our needs are a little higher, so aside from basic food, clothing, shelter, security, like financial um significance, like that. So you're
Mm.
moving towards like growth. That's you, me, maybe learning, and then self-actualization. So a lot of artists, so the way they express themselves, a lot of philanthropists,
Mm.
people doing a legacy, intergenerational work type.
Mm. I
So
love that.
it's like Tony Robbins, he like calls it spiral dynamics. One of the things he teaches will always be
I
in
love
one of
that.
those spirals or levels. So it's not to show off the information. It's like if someone is at a certain level, kindness means help them there.
Mm.
Now, am I a
That's
gym
good.
instructor and can I help them lift weights like that? Dude, maybe I'd call some other mentor, right? Maybe you could
Mm.
help like that. But
That's a
what
forte. Yeah.
yeah, what we can help where we're at, part of it is yeah, sharing this live information, especially if they ask
I love
comments.
this information.
Someone reaches out. Sometimes it's also through our
Please do.
actions. By the way, the subcommunication, people who may or may not get it with like long enough attention span,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
action, an extended focus to do this deep work. The
Sure.
action you can get out of this is to try to do your own live. This is the
Yeah.
first time I'm doing StreamYard on my personal profile, so more people are reached.
Mm.
If you're watching the live or the replay to this level, don't get stuck. This word really sucks, man. This term,
I love that
not
word.
really a mentor, but part of the personal development. The what I heard the term was mental masturbation.
Mm.
So it's
Sorry.
do not go there, man. For us, it's very tempting. Do not just like, oh, I want to talk about information knowledge because it makes me
Ah.
feel good. Oh yeah, man, let's fucking circle jerk this shit. Oh yeah, let's just feel good, dude. It's no
Not it.
different than porn. It's
That's not
no
it.
different, man. It's like kindness. I'll go back to that.
I love that word. Yeah.
Information only becomes useful, practical, or like love when there's
Mm.
kindness, when it's helping
I
someone.
love that.
You're helping yourself. And by the way,
Mm.
Tony Robbins, a mentor, said
Mm.
self-esteem is not when you do something that's hard, like other people think that's hard. It's when you do something that you think is hard. So if you close a fucking single pay case worth 15 million and it didn't feel, sorry, 2 million like annual
Yeah.
premium,
I get it.
5 years to pay, and then people are like, oh shit, that's legendary. But like what you said, it didn't really feel that hard, or you knew
Yeah.
you could have done better. You're not
Yeah.
gonna get self-esteem from that. You're not gonna grow. You
Yeah. You're so right
so
on that, Marcus.
I have a batchmate, a friend. He's like a fucking genius in the piano.
Mm. Wow. I
But then
love
for him, for all I know, like that's
that.
easy. So his growth is in different areas.
Yeah.
So like you or me,
That's beautiful.
most people won't understand. That's fine. Let's just help them where they're at,
Yeah.
and then
Love
the
that.
mentors we seek for what's impossible to us, they make it possible. They're like, hey, I
I
did
love
that. You could
that.
do this too. So that's like the intention for me in this life. That's how I would give hope, or how I
Yeah.
wish someone would give hope.
That expression is so beautiful, man. You brought up the piano, best friend, great genius at the piano. Dude,
Yeah,
like
man. Like, yeah.
that's their offer to the world if they choose it to be, and eventually make lead the opportunity. Like, why does it have to be about money? Like you sure if you play good, history has taught us that if you are good at something, great at something, you will be paid for it. Eventually, because you're the desire of the crowd of something like that. Whatever you do, you put out. No, you're not posturing by that time. You're becoming the thing you're good at. And kindness really helps you like get people on board of the cause, right? And you said something a lot. I really love two things. First thing, unlearn. Like for
Yeah.
people watching this video or replay of the live video, I'm guessing, most people, haven't dabbled with the word unlearn. Like, okay, what have you unlearned? And when you unlearn 10 stuff, what are you left with? Well, you're left with, by the time it's obvious, the truth, right? What is your truth? Probably nothing yet, you know? So you
Yeah.
try to, not do the 10 things that you unlearned anymore and try to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pick up.
Well, on unlearning, I'll just share something
Go
quick,
for
and
it,
I'll
man.
and I'll go back to you real quick.
I love
Is
it. I love it, yeah.
what I learned about that, what you get out of it is actually choice, like
Mm.
the freedom of choice. Because people might not understand what we're talking about. Like, why will you unlearn something? It took so much time, effort, my life dedication to
Sure.
learn something. Why will I unlearn it? So
That's a good question.
what they call, one of like my mentors, they call that our programming, our conditioning,
Mm. That
social
is true.
conditioning. So, for example, being reliant on our parents. Now, many people, controversial people will say, "Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's good. Whatever." Because there's a context. When you're a kid,
Yeah.
let's say 0 to 7 years old, is it bad to be reliant on your parent?
Mm.
I'm not saying everyone's like that. There are orphans out there. Like some
Depends.
people, their families abandoned them. But then there's a certain age wherein nurturing is very critical.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of the baby, growing up like that. Then growing up, you can unlearn that because that's codependence. You can
Mm.
unlearn that and replace that way of life, that programming, with independence.
Mm.
And
I love
people
that.
will think, is that the end goal? No, dude. Continuous learning, right? So
Right.
independence is you're taking care of yourself. So there's another level above that. It's called interdependence.
Yeah.
So I could take care of myself. Now I can take care of others. So that's where the unlearning plus relearning, it's like a cycle or something,
I love that, man.
comes in,
Because,
dude.
yeah, unlearning leaves you with choices. And those choices
Choice.
are evident. Like, if you have a job and you unlearn 10 things that do not support your job, you're left with an intuition telling you you need to read more books from uh, T.R. Becker or whatever, whoever Tony Robbins says
Yeah.
he's the ideal mentor for people in a certain job or profession, right? His study and understanding of the work we do is highly highlighted, and we want to procure that in our employees, in our people, whatever, like that kind of attitude, what he's offering us here, because it's very supportive of our cause and progressive for us, both in and out of work, personal life too.
Yeah.
And now, I think when people unlearn 10 things, and those 10 things are the major causes of depression, could be,
Mm.
um, what I think people need to do is follow their intuition. Pick up that book when you're okay. You're bored. You're bored now. You're boring now. You're bored now because you don't do the bad stuff anymore. Do the right stuff now. Read the book that your mind told you to read. Talk to that person your mind told you to talk to. Like, what am I gonna say? Mind, you go through the conversation. You negotiate with yourself, right? Like, you talk with your mind. What am I gonna say to this person? Well, you had an urge to talk to this person first. You wanted to say something. Go back to that thing you wanted to say and say it, and say it like you mean it, like how you thought about it. Um,
Mhm.
but sometimes we have to go back and strain it. Like, is it a good thing to say? We're looking at intention now. Yes, because you just want to express the beauty of that person, and if they would consider being part of your life through a slow endeavor of understanding each other, like maybe a date, so, or a conversation, just for coffee, whatever. Now, that was the intention, and it went through a training process of, okay, what do I want to say? If it's wrong, let's say let's do a bad one, right? Like, the intention is to say something mean to somebody, and you strengthen your moral compass, your moral values in your moral compass. But your approach initially with the intent is like bluntly say it in an attitude of being rude or to offend. The intent was to offend. Like, you stretch your mind a bit. What's gonna occur after? Well, you already understand the person you're talking to, or not. You can stretch your mind, your imagination a bit, how far that can go, and you really want to take that path or not, you know? So obviously, for people who are smarter enough not to make that decision, although it could be a decision. Here's the great part: when you're wise and aware, it does not mean you are not uh, injected with the same thoughts before. You're more aware, but you have choice. Like, and how strong you are at making that decision is how well you get your emotions in check. Like,
Yeah.
lots of things happen every day, but like, dude, I went on Facebook kanina. You see people like a UFC fight. People just talk there like, and being mean to each other because of their opinions. I'm like, why? Like,
Yeah, that's a
like,
rabbit hole you don't want to go into.
yeah, I don't want to get in there, but like,
Well, you want to know why, by the way? Because one of my mentors talks about that.
mm,
And I don't want to sound so woo woo or like spiritual or esoteric about it. Most
or
people in the YouTube comments, Facebook comments do like that, like for something like that. It's like a lower vibrational or a lower level of energy.
mm,
So and sometimes I fall into that. Like it's that energy of gossip. Um it's easy to see that. Like there's a fight breaking out. So
yeah.
is your tendency like, oh, let's watch it, right? But
Oh,
maybe your
that's
interpol
yeah.
is like, get the fuck out of there. That's like bad, bad situation, red flags.
Mm,
Some other people, they have a different level of awareness where they're like,
hard choice.
they have the capacity to go, hey, I'll check on it. Let's see if I could help diffuse the situation if ever, because their body is built for it or they're equipped for it. I don't know. If not, I'm
Mm,
gonna get out of there. I have detachment like that. So people have different levels of awareness, and a lot, like like
it's
eighty
so
percent,
much.
whatever. A lot. You're gonna see a lot of
Yeah.
comments. So the awareness there is: am I one of those people? Am I
Mm,
one of those people in the comments saying like shit talking like that? Like, dude, believe it or not, maybe LeBron James he broke the scoring record. There's still people shit talking him,
yeah.
right?
And
Oh,
and I
like
don't get that.
the fake. What the? Sorry, man. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Parang, I don't like that shit. So I don't want to hang around that. I don't want to hang
Like,
around that. I
yeah.
have my own issues already.
Like, if somebody's doing good, I want to cheer that on. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go for it. But when
dude,
they do something bad, like,
correct.
um, I don't want to do that. Like, I tell myself that's something to avoid. Like,
Yeah,
um,
I have my own mistakes, man. I'm a very imperfect person.
me too.
One thing I learned from my mentor, a mentor
Mm,
of mine, because the topic, right, the connection with our
right.
mentors, the progress. He said this line: I learn from everyone, even my
Mm,
enemies.
mm,
And
right.
then I encountered other mentors in my life, like $1 Million Round Table, that's
Mm,
international. Locally, the Life Underwriters Association of the Philippines, LUAP, grew up.
mm,
So this is like it's an association where people are from different companies in the life
mm,
insurance industry, and they're helping each other.
mm,
The very base low level paradigm when you enter sales is cutthroat.
mm,
Oh, Matt, you're from a different company.
mm.
So people will low key backstab you, or they're gonna shit talk you with that.
That's
So
horrible.
it is, but dude, I am like that. Maybe I'm like that too,
Mm.
right? You put me in a gay bar and there's a transsexual sexually harassing me, dude.
Oh
Maybe I
yeah.
would go fucking violent or something like
Mm,
that because I don't know how to handle it, something like that.
yeah.
And again,
That's something too. Yeah, to learn.
and I'm dude, I know people in the LGBT community like that. It's even like AI. I have a cousin in Canada. So I
Mm,
had to learn first, understanding first, like the awareness. Then you have a choice. Are you gonna just hate them or react?
mm.
And then a
I
different,
love that.
yeah, a different level of awareness is also personal boundaries. So it doesn't mean you'll tolerate abuse or harassment when they're doing it. Because I had to ask gay people, like, what do you do like that? And some of them will outright say that's not right.
Mm.
Don't let them do that to you. So it's like a process or a, you know,
I
progression
love
of
that. That
yeah,
gets thoughts across people. I love that.
yeah, which is hard to get because people
Yeah.
won't necessarily give you the truth, right? They have their own agenda.
Yeah, the agenda, the hidden
So
agenda.
awareness now, yeah, man, we just hit the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll bring it back to the topic. If ever you
yeah.
want to share any last thoughts or questions like that, the
So,
connection with our mentors and the noted progress. One thing I feel like sharing too is when we have conversations like this, sometimes
mhm,
it takes another person. It takes feedback for people to make us realize that we actually have progress. Maybe
right?
you're self-aware of your own progress, your progression with your speech like that.
Mm,
But then maybe there are areas that I don't know I have
mm,
progress in because I just got my blinders on, just trying to count my blessings every day.
mm.
I live my life day to day.
Right, me too. Wow, I
So
love that.
there's as Roy says, there's a healthy way and an unhealthy way expression of all things. So the healthy way is okay. We're present in the moment. We appreciate the moment. We appreciate life. Unhealthy is it's myopic. It's narrow. It's like nearsighted, right?
Mm,
I can't make a vision for a year from now,
I love that.
3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Tony Robbins, they do that shit. So that's the unhealthy side. So if you live your life too far looking, yeah, unhealthy is you can't appreciate the moment. The healthy thing is you get to see the big picture,
Wow, I love.
macro level, right? Dude, I heard recently from a guy who shared about real estate, the high net worth, they talk about generational wealth.
Mm,
So they're not just thinking of enough money for myself, they're thinking of the next generation. It
mm.
reminded me of a seminar I attended, Sandy Jadeja. So he talks about
Powerful stuff.
intergenerational wealth.
Mm,
That's another mentor wherein they're not talking about until their kids or even grandkids. They're talking about like multiple generations, dude. So then the
mm.
mind starting to expand. You're like, you could think that way. So that's
That changes your
a
process. Yeah.
healthy way actually of looking at things. So and if you don't believe that's true, man, just look up history like the dynasties,
Right.
the freaking Egyptian pharaohs, whatever, like those cultures like that, the prince or kings of the sultanates or whatever like that. So they
Lineage,
think
right?
that way if you don't
Yeah.
think that's true. So there's a healthy and an unhealthy way um, to go about it in connection to our mentors and our progress. So
I love that.
I mean, for you, I don't know if there are any like other closing
There is.
realization or
But
questions
real,
about that.
real quick, you said something I really love and appreciate. You brought up just the
Yeah.
word enough brings about an abundance of words in me. So the key word for me there, and I'm going to go with that for the ending part is narrow. You know, what
Mm,
is a narrow-sighted person, right? Like, so when you first attempt to do something that you should know takes time to be joyous about with progress, do not succumb to anything opposite to that. That's narrow-sightedness and will not serve you because along as long as you go along this path, it will change. Um, what will happen? Well, the strongest prediction I think people can have for insight around that thing, whatever they want to do, is to first narrow down, what is it, details about it, and find examples that in people, women and men, men and women, like ask them the deepest rooted question you can find in yourself, so that that thing there makes sense to you, and you ask that question, and there's a story, there's a a profound adventure in store for you when you partake in that thing? The answer. Um, why is it an adventure? It will stretch your emotions in limits that make you try to see what's right. It's an emotional standpoint perspective, like how should I feel about something, right? And when an occurrence of me writing about it, is it left there? Like, if it is, then like, and you need proof that it's the right thing, so you show people, right? Don't be afraid to show people what you got, best you can. Um, if you're a genius, you got it right. When I say you got it right, you found something that what works, and continually understand it. It's so in depth. It has so much depth that, like, best thing I could for this ending for people, like, point you towards it and just have that conversation, with us after, jump and tell us how it went, like,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you so much, man.
yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone watching the live, the replay. Thank you to you, Matt, also.
Yeah.
So what Matt just said to end this live is we're not just talking about our mentors, our progress. It would actually make us feel really happy and fulfilled when we hear your about your mentors and your progress. It can be as simple like someone I met recently. I worked on this thing, as Matt said. I had this feeling like I wanted this desire to work on myself. You make me realize that, Matt, that yeah, 2014, later on I got the awareness. I want to work on my emotional healing, that
Yeah.
depression, the awareness. It's hard enough to just admit it and then work on it.
Yeah.
So whatever term you want to use, the shadow work, you're
Sure.
working on your inner demons or the slaying the dragon, like
Yeah.
that. So we'd love to hear from you guys watching the live or the replay, any experience you've had with your mentor, and then your progress after that. Your sharing in the comments, it might give another person hope, right? Could be as simple, Matt,
Sure.
or it could be as deep or profound that it could open our eyes, our hearts as well. So thank you for that.
Awesome stuff, man. Humans are meant to learn from each other.
Yeah, and we learn in different ways. So again,
Yeah.
guys, watching the live, the replay, your comments doesn't have to be necessarily just information, knowledge.
Yeah.
It could be an action you did. It could be a contribution. It could be something that someone just shared, like, "Hey, thank you for saving my life." You had no idea, but
Hmm.
this person tells you, "Oh, you did this," and it changed their life, right? So we'd
Tell
love
us
to
the
hear
story.
that. We'd love to witness that. We love to see, feel, and then hear, witness your truth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting. I love life. I love human beings. Like, each
Yeah,
human has a story to give. Like, the most interesting parts about us is, like, how we dealt with them. You know,
yeah,
from there we can identify most of what comes next for them in store for their lives. Like, be kind to yourself
amen.
and others. Yeah.
I
I love
totally
that.
agree. So you guys, thank you guys. We'd love to hear it from you and your comments. So how we end this live, I usually say thank you. We love you, and we will
That
see
is
you
true.
next time.